stress on a marriage doesn't mean that the marriage is weak. It means that there's some foundational pieces that we need to be intentional about building. So, for example, with my story with my husband, we needed to work on how I addressed my child and how I was literally, and it takes nothing away from me to say this, I was actually crippling my son by coddling him, right? I didn't want him to have to struggle, to stress, to be worried about anything. And unfortunately, that really crippled my baby. And he's rebounding from that. And okay, so listen, I had to do some things differently. I had to shift. And then my husband had to not be so tough. I mean, you kind of got to feel like this kid has never had this kind of real experience like this with a man consistently around. So I want you to think about that. So if you've ever been in that space where you know you needed to do some stuff different, please drop a yes in the chat so I know you are tracking with me. And know that we want to be intentional about supporting the foundation of our relationships. Doesn't mean it's weak because you have some stress. Stress is actually not always a bad thing. Stress shows you where the cracks are so that you can fill in the gaps. So just because there's stress, it doesn't mean that there's a complete break. Think about that like a bone, right? So there's a difference between a whole break of a bone and a fracture. When there's a fracture, there's a crack. And if you take your time and you set it correctly, you rest it, you attend to it, you give it all of the attention that it needs and you care for it, it heals. The same thing with stress in a marriage. It's the same thing. So it doesn't have to be a complete break where you have to do intense repair, meaning go to therapy. It can be just a little bitty hairline fracture that just needs some support. And then you start strengthening it so that it doesn't fracture again, right? So that's what I mean about just because there's stress in a marriage, it doesn't mean the marriage is weak.